Now King Thidrek of Bern rode to the forest called Borga Forest. And this forest lies between Poland and Hunaland. Thidrek of Bern could now see Thidrek Valdimarsson riding through the forest, and he called to him. "Turn back. I will give you gold and silver, as much as I own in Hunaland, if you make friends with King Attila." And Thidrek Valdimarsson spoke. "Why do you fiends offer me gold and silver? I shall never be your friend. If it would not be a shame for me, then you should never see Queen Erka again. Ride away from me. Your wounds have a bad smell." And King Thidrek of Bern spoke. "Turn back, good comrade. It is not honorable for you to ride thus out of Hunaland when the head of Queen Erka, your kinswoman, is pledged for you. We shall both support you if you seek a settlement with King Attila." Thidrek Valdimarsson repeated what he had said before. And Thidrek of Bern became angry and said, "If you will not turn back with me to Hunaland, for the sake of gold or silver, for my friendship, for the life of Queen Erka, your kinswoman, and not for your own humanity, or that of your family, then get off your horse and fight with me. But if you will not do that, then you shall be considered a base creature. You will never again be called an honorable man if you flee before a single man. And my horse is so good that you will not be able to escape, and you will be killed in flight, and never again will your name be mentioned among valorous men." And Thidrek Valdimarsson turned his horse back when he heard those words. He would certainly fight and never flee, even though he would be killed. Each sprang from his horse, and they went together and fought for a long time, very fiercely and boldly, and each spoiled the other's shield and birnie, and they were both wounded. And when they had been fighting a long time, Thidrek of Bern began to tire from his wounds, which he had had before, and from those he received in this fight. But Thidrek Valdimarsson was also tiring, and each set his shield before his feet, and leaned against them and rested. Then Thidrek of Bern spoke. "You good friend and namesake, turn back. Let us travel together, and I shall support you, so that you will be reconciled with King Attila. If things are so bad that you cannot be reconciled with him, then I shall take my weapons and my men and accompany you home into your kingdom." But Thidrek Valdimarsson did not want this. They went together again and fought furiously. But now a great blow, struck by King Thidrek of Bern, struck Thidrek Valdimarsson on the right side of his neck, so that it took the head away to the left side. King Thidrek now went to his horse, and he had the head of Thidrek Valdimarsson in his hands. He tied it into his crupper and rode back the same way he had come until he arrived at the castle Vilkina, and met there the same maiden who had earlier offered to bind his wounds. He now accepted and let her bind his wounds. And when she was binding his wounds, he cast a piece of cloth over the head of Thidrek Valdimarsson, so that she couldn't see it. The Earl came there, her father, and asked who this man was, who was there with his daughter. And Thidrek spoke. I don't know whether I should tell you the truth about my name, because if it is as I suspect, I have lost here one of my close kinsmen, but I shall still tell you the truth. I am called Thidrek, the son of King Thedmar of Bern. And when the Earl heard that, he invited Thidrek to stay with him honorably in the evening, and this he accepted, because he was both badly wounded and very fatigued. He was welcomed there for the night, and what was even better, Thidrek and the Earl's daughter both lay in the same bed that night. When day came, the Earl went to his men and held counsel about what they should offer King Thidrek for his kinsman that would be fitting for both of them. And one of his knights spoke. He was a kinsman of Zivka. Now that Thidrek has come here, alone and so badly wounded, let us take his weapons and kill him, and then we shall never again have to fear him. If we let him ride away from here, then it can happen that he will take over our whole city and kill all of his enemies. He is so ill-tempered that he has shown no mercy to men who have done even less to him than we have. The Earl answered, If we kill King Thidrek here with our many men, then we shall certainly gain the enmity of King Attila, as soon as he hears that King Thidrek has been killed. We shall not be able to hold our city against him, because he is a much mightier lord. Another chieftain replied, Let us choose another way. Let us put on a great feast for King Thidrek, and give him magnificent gifts, and gold and silver. Let us give him many knights to accompany him back to Susa. He will receive that well, and then be a good comrade. The Earl chose this way. The Earl began a great feast and invited King Thidrek. He remained there many days. The Earl had 6 of his best knights prepared with purple cloaks and all kinds of other treasures, and he went then before Thidrek and spoke. King Thidrek, we wish to give you these 6 knights to gain your favor for us. Thidrek answered and bade him have many thanks for them, and Thidrek thought it all very fitting what the Earl did for him. The Earl spoke. I will ask you one boon, sir, that I would like to receive from you. And the king answered, I cannot promise until I know what you ask. But for the sake of our good relationship, I can promise you what you ask. The Earl spoke. I would like that you not blame me that I killed your kinsman Thidrek because of the scheming of Zivka, and I certainly would not have done it if I had known the truth of the matter. King Thidrek spoke to the Earl. I shall certainly not hold it against you, because you have treated me honorably and given me good gifts. If you had not done so, I would certainly have avenged my kinsman. Thidrek was now ready to ride away, and with him the 6 courtly knights. And now the Earl went to Thidrek's horse and took away the piece of cloth that was hanging over his saddle. And they could now see the head and were made aware of how the dealings with Thidrek Valdimarsson had gone. King Thidrek now sprang onto his horse, and the 6 knights came along with him. They rode until they arrived home in Hunaland. When he arrived in Susa, Queen Erka came to meet him, and she thought, when she saw Thidrek and the 6 knights riding along, that Thidrek Valdimarsson might be one of the group, and she became very happy. King Thidrek took now the head of his namesake and cast it before the queen's feet. Queen Erka wept and grieved so much that so many of her kinsmen had lost their lives for her sake. And Thidrek went now to his bed and lay there wounded as before. The 6 knights were happy with him and served him with great honor and fidelity. And thus we arrive at the end of this episode of the Thidrekssaga, in which the fate of Queen Erka still seems to be uncertain. But we'll bring you another episode that might answer some questions. So tune in again next time, back here into the Hall of Sagenheim.